Alright, we good? Volume level's fine. So if you want to comment, go to Discord, not the YouTube chat. You're free to talk in the YouTube chat, but I don't look at that because I use my phone as my second screen, and I can't have the YouTube chat open there. So okay, seems like everything's good. I have my phone open here so I can see comments while I play. Oh boy. All right. Okay. Let's see. Three kills without exiting the scope. Man, I really did not use... I mean, I didn't get this until the last level of the game. Grenades are so weak in this. I think you have to hit somebody with a minimum of 2 or have already shot them for a grenade to kill somebody, so I just kept reloading at a certain point to even get this. Let me know if the sound gets too loud. I know there was I turned it down a little bit, but I know some people were saying it was a bit too loud compared to my voice last time. you know what? I stealthed through this last time, so this time I'm just going to blow everybody away. You know, these are the same guys who made the Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay, or a lot of them anyway. They left Starbreeze and went to Machine Games, so it makes sense that they're good at stealth. If I'm repeating what I said last time, by the way, I forget how to, just let me know, because I was on the falling action stage of being drunk last time, so I don't remember everything I said. So if I repeat things, it's the price of alcohol. Can't even remember what I'm supposed to do at this part. Just run around until you... Very annoying that they changed. They reversed a couple of controls. The alternate fire and crouch controls, I think, are reversed in this and the expand alone Old Blood, so I just played through both in a row, and now I'm doing it over for this stream, and that's really confusing. This is such a weird thing that they like, this is the one thing that changes? Depending on who you save, you get this slightly different lockpicking minigame, and I guess you get access to slightly different areas? Bizarre. I don't understand the choice involved either. I, of course, want to play through what's artistically appropriate, but it's unclear what even is artistically appropriate, what makes sense. You know, a lot of games give you choices, and there's clearly one that makes more sense than the other. Like Dishonored 2, which I haven't played yet, but from everything I've seen, it seems pretty clear that the artistically appropriate choice is, at the beginning of the game, you get to choose to play as Corvo, the protagonist from the first game, or Emily, your kind of charge from the first game. And, oh wow, go all the way up here. It's it'd be pretty ridiculous to just play as Corvo again. It seems to make more sense to play as Emily, just from a narrative point of view. Just, okay, not just, oh, I want to play as the cool guy again, but no, let's see how this new character develops and how she was impacted by what happened in the first game. So clearly there is an artistically correct option there, but in this one, you saw that choice at the beginning if you watched the stream last week. God, I hate the ladders in these. I wonder, did they do this on purpose, where it's like, hey, remember how old games did ladders? I think there's a lot of, you know, retro stuff in here. You got to get health packs, and you have to get armor, and you have to manually pick up stuff. Or you don't have regenerating health, at least not fully regenerating health, which seems to be a deliberate, hey, this is old school kind of choice, which, fine, I guess that's You know, I mean, that's valid. It's a certain style of play, but I really am annoyed that they make you manually click or press a button to pick things up, though. You can't even just run over it like you could in a lot of old games. This ladder thing. It's like, how do I get on the ladder from up above? If I run at it straight forward, I just fall down, and it's just annoying. And then you saw I kept trying to get down like this, but then press forward to catch on, but I'd press it too much and climb back up. So I don't know if the whole ladder thing is just, hey, this is old school FPS. Anyway, so as for the Corvo thing, or the choice thing, yeah, I don't even know what's appropriate here. I don't understand the significance of choosing one or the other. There didn't seem to be that much of oh, we do this again. That much of a difference? In what the characters were or represented or how they connect anything, so and maybe that was something that they planned to do more with, but just ran out of time. As I do remember mentioning last time, this game seems, I just get the feeling that they had to cut out a lot of stuff from the design document. They never had a chance to fully implement that. So where am I going? I remember last time I went over here. Am I supposed to go through this place now? Because I got the... Did I even go up here before? Man. It's crazy how your mind can work on autopilot. You just... you don't even remember what you did 5 seconds ago. But that's why this game is perfect for streaming. Because it takes so little conscious bandwidth. I can just play it without even not paying so little attention that I can't even remember what I did. There we go. A little blue thing. But I think that's just going to have me... Alright. Okay. What was the thing I had to get with this? 3 kills without... Three kills without exiting the scope. Okay. You know, I'm not a fan of the... of the perk system. I understand why it's there. One is just, of course, to give you a sense of progression. Hey, here's something you could do. But I think it's also to encourage you to do things you wouldn't otherwise do. Oh, people aren't using grenades. Let's give them reason to use grenades. You'll unlock these. You'll unlock these perks. Which seem... I mean... I think that's just a workaround for bad design. Like, don't give me a bunch of things that I don't need to use and then try to solve that, not by making them more useful, or making it clearer how they are useful, but by giving me a series of annoying things I have to do. Not even, it just takes you out of it. I don't want to have this dissonance with the character. Like, I don't want to be playing this game and thinking, I know BJ's thinking, well, I have to do this to save this person or defeat the Nazis, so I'm, you know, my character would be thinking, how do I win this firefight? What am I missing here? But I'm thinking, well, I have to get 3 kills with this without going out of the scope in order to get this perk. I hate that. I hate when games make the motive of the player different from that of the character. It is really annoying. And that's what they're doing here in order to try to fix the problem of giving you a bunch of different guns that most of which you don't have to use. At least not in the ways they're trying to get you to use them. Why are you encouraging me to play this in a suboptimal way? That's stupid because it's just going to slow me down. Oh boy. What am I doing? What am I doing? We're done here? Oh. There we go.
Good aim for an old dame.
Oops. Okay. Did the grenade thing. It's funny. You can't throw back grenades until you kill 2 people at once with a grenade. It's bizarre, but so I played through the whole first game just having to run away whenever I threw a grenade. But then, even once I could throw them, you have to hit that. I could not hit E fast enough when a grenade got near me to throw it without it blowing me up. So they're very unforgiving about that. To be. The 3 guys here I can kill with my... I don't like using the mouse wheel for melee because it always just, it's hard to click down without pushing forward or back slightly, and then when you do that it changes the weapon, and not a big fan of that. That's the... Is it mist or film grain or something? What are my other, oh, that's, okay. Commander Wolfenstein. Okay. See, if I didn't have in the back of my head, oh, how do I get these perks? Do I have to do this? Is there anything I can do here? Killed 3 guys without leaving the scope, right? Why didn't I get the thing? What? Pretty sure I just did that. I'll press that again. Cool. Stealth kill facing him.
Right. Get that lift raised. Get going.
I killed this commander. Grenade. There we go. Now, for anybody watching this after the fact, or now even, I know I'm not engaging with the chat that much. That's because there's no one in there. There is one person I see commenting, and I will answer your question in a second. But I don't know, some people don't seem to get the message when I put it out. Last time, seemed a lot of people came in late, even near the end, and were like, "Oh, I didn't even realize this had started." I don't know if people don't get notifications for Patreon or what, but I try to post everywhere. You know, the relevant people will see it. Maybe just no one is interested. Maybe today is a holiday I'm unaware of. But yeah, there's not really anyone in the chat, so kind of just doing my own thing here. just didn't want you to think I was ignoring people. Or like they're ignoring me. Alright, Rucka was on Michael Malice. Did you see it? Yeah, I did see it. I listened to the whole thing. I didn't watch it, so I guess I technically didn't see it. It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to manufacture things to say. It's cool. Is it just a straight dead end? What? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I can't complain that much. Since I do restrict this only to Patreon supporters live, so there are only 82 possible people who could be watching this right now. So maybe I should change that? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't... Can you make a video unlisted afterwards? Maybe I could just do these live for everyone, but archive them and make the archives available to Patreon supporters? I don't know. Oh, boy. But, yeah, I saw Rucka on Malice. You just want me to give my general thoughts, or did anything strike you? All right. There we go. I love that cover that slowly gets destroyed. That's good. Oh boy. Alright. This game has an oppressive atmosphere most of the time. You know, I thought about playing through BioShock. I might go through Infinite, I guess. Maybe I'll go through them eventually, but man, just the oppressive atmosphere. Just, it's not a pleasant time. Whereas with BioShock Infinite, you're up in the clouds. But the first two games, man, underwater. Yes. Let's see. Okay, still do the marksman thing. Five kills, 10 seconds. Mechanical enemies killed by grenade. Aren't there just the... What else is there? I guess they're the little drones. Do the dogs count? Man, that's gonna be annoying. Alright. Well, I don't have the... How many shots do I have with this? 10? Okay. There's... Okay. Okay, we'll try this. We'll try this. Yeah, Michael Malice and Rucka had a conversation on Michael Malice's show. You're welcome. I still don't get the joke there. I mean, it's Y-O-U-R welcome. I don't know where that comes from, but I remember that. From when he was on Gavin's show before. I think he's on... Is that what Gas Digital is now? Is that what Anthony Cumia's network is called now? I don't know. But... Yeah, Michael Malice has a show, and Rucka went on, and... It's annoying. Yeah, Rucka does what he does, and he's like, okay, so where do you depart from objectivism? Which he does with a lot of people. He does that with, did that with Sargon, Dave Rubin. He does that with everyone, and I like that. Because all of these people want to, they all want to claim, oh, no, we agree with objectivism. Oh, we totally agree. Maybe some minor differences, but hey, I'm basically on board, which is what Dave Rubin says. Sargon, friended forever. With friended forever, as Rucka noted in that in his conversation with Malice, yeah, it always turns into this. How do we sell this? Like, what? No. All of these people are just so. Benefit of mouse and keyboard. Let's shoot him. There we go. Yeah, but you see that a lot. Dave Rubin's all on board. Yeah, I'm basically with you. Same with Michael Malice, Sargon, friended forever, where it's all about, yeah, but I just don't know how we'd sell it, how we'd convince people to join or to agree with this. When all of these people clearly well, that's giving them too much of a compliment. I don't even think it's that these people disagree, at least not explicitly, with Ayn Rand. It's that they don't even know the issues. When Rucka was talking to Malice at a certain point, Rucka brought up epistemology, and Malice is like, yeah, epistemology, that's a Yeah, it's a mind-numbing subject that we're not going to go into. It's like just hard pivot, like, no, we're not talking about this. And, you know, I don't think that's even because he wants to hide his disagreements with Ayn Rand. I think that's because he doesn't understand objectivism or epistemology in general, and doesn't want to look like an idiot, especially given that he goes around claiming such inspiration from Ayn Rand. But yeah, I think the cause of all of these people wanting to say that, oh yeah, we agree with Ayn Rand is, I think the main cause of that is that people they actually don't understand how important ideas are. So Ruben treats it like this casual thing. Oh yeah, I'm basically on board. Like, he doesn't understand how scrupulous, how detailed, how precise Ayn Rand is. He's just used to being vague and sloppy because ideas, who really cares? Jeez, that guy's juking all around. So I think the cause of a lot of this, or the main cause of people trying to, just insisting, oh yeah, we agree. Even other interviews that I'm now remembering that Rec has done, people I don't remember the names of, it's always, this is a constant theme of people wanting to say, yes, we agree. A part of this is just that so few people actually stand for anything, that when somebody comes in with real ideas that they've thought out and are committed to, which is, I mean, these people don't stand for anything, so they think, okay, you're right, I'll just come on board with this. But the reason they haven't thought about ideas before is because they don't think they matter that much. And so, you know. Getcha. You know, it is funny. Like, Ayn Rand has such an incredibly disproportionate impact on people's interest in philosophy. Like, I can't count the number of times I've been looking up some philosophical issue online, and I'll see references to Ayn Rand, and I'm like, oh, that's because she's the only one who talks about this stuff as if it applies to real life and is important. So when you're just researching philosophical topics online, you will you'll see a disproportionate number of references to Ayn Rand. And it's because she's the one who gets people interested in philosophy. So I guarantee you, if you look up law of identity or something like that, you know, something that Ayn Rand agrees with, but, you know, it's not something she came up with. You see a lot, you will, you know, not infrequently see references to Ayn Rand. That's because, you know, objectivists, and Ayn Rand in particular, we actually care about ideas. We recognize their importance and practical value. but yeah, Michael Malice was yeah, he was like, yeah, I basically am I missing something, or is this another thing where I just go back to the truck? Yep. No. don't know. Can this thing... Oh, is this thing destroyed, or... Oops. So yeah, I mean, clearly Malice has has more disagreements, or you would say implicit disagreements, because I don't think it's Malice is sitting there knowing that, oh, well, you know, I really do disagree with Ayn Rand's thoughts on measurement omission. No, he just doesn't know. He implicitly disagrees with her, but he doesn't know enough to even talk about the issue, presumably. That's my guess. But it's more of a lack of agreement than a disagreement. So yeah, I mean, nobody... This is the thing. Peacock once said this. No one who is an anarchist understands objectivism. Because you cannot go, okay, objective existence, reason, selfishness, and then in politics, do whatever, no order, anarchy. I mean, that's... No. If your politics is anarchism, then you have... you either disagree with Ayn Rand's fundamentals, and if you think you agree, then you seriously misunderstand them. So, yeah, person says... Yeah, he claims to have read everything. Yes. Yes, that's an important point. Michael Malice has read everything Ayn Rand has written, and has read everything surrounding Ayn Rand. About her, you know, about her philosophy, I think. He mentions owning the ominous parallels. Although, the way he said he owns it, I mean, that could just be that's what he said, rather than saying he read it. But it just reminds me of that joke from, I remember this scene in The Office where Michael's talking to this lady, and this lady says, "Oh yeah, have you read X book?" And he says, "Read it? I own it." But no, I have not read it. I love that. So I got maybe a vibe that he just owns it and hasn't really read it, but I mean, that's just a guess. That could be wrong. I mean, he claims to have read... I mean, I'll take his word on this. I don't know why I said claims. I believe him. He says he's read everything by Ayn Rand and about her up to a certain point of the proliferation of that kind of material. And yet, he clearly has a superficial understanding of Ayn Rand, and it appears that all he got from her were some anecdotes and turns of phrase, which are really all he references from her. I've never seen him go into her deeper ideas. So, this is an important point. Getting concrete knowledge is not the most important thing. What is most important is your method. I've seen, I think it was Sargon talking to Chris Reagan? I can't remember. I don't know why I'm thinking that, because that doesn't seem right, but Sargon was talking to somebody about, yeah, these people, they just don't do the reading. They don't do the reading, they have to do the reading. Because Sargon is an idiot, and he's trying to, you know, he's being self-aggrandizing because he's read 1 or 2 books, and so he wants to say, oh, I've read John Stuart Mill, I've gone to the original material, as if that matters. No, this is my whole point. It doesn't matter. The reason people aren't able to defend freedom or reason or anything good is not because they haven't read everything Ayn Rand has written. Guess what? I understood objectivism a hell of a lot better long before I'd read everything Ayn Rand had ever written than Michael Malice does now, having read all of that. It is not about the quantity of what you read. That is such a conservative, stupid idea. Because they're all about just concrete knowledge. Method, the idea that the mind has an identity and you have to follow a certain method. No. Just intrinsic facts. Just, you know, this is the idea with classical education. You just stuff your mind with raw facts and listen to your authorities. And that's how you'll get new facts. Just listen to the authorities. Don't figure out how to do it yourself. Because, you know, you don't really need a method. It's just, it's the revealed school of epistemology. You just get a revelation from God or consult your Platonic inner world. That was another thing when, I don't know this for sure, but when Michael Malice was talking about Ayn Rand getting annoyed at a surprise party, I don't remember that. Then it occurred to me, oh, I assume he's getting that from the smear job that is that Barbara Brandon book on Ayn Rand, and I guess that's part of what he's talking about when he says he's read everything about Ayn Rand. He's including those. He's including that, which I mean, is not reliable. I wouldn't trust anything by the Brandons. But I don't actually know where that comes from. I'm certain she had a plausible reason, though. Because you see this all the time, people smear Ayn Rand. They say, oh, Ayn Rand wrote this whole essay about how cats are good pets or something, when somebody... I can't remember the exact issue around that. But, I mean... And the idea is supposed to be, oh, Ayn Rand, oh, she couldn't just like cats. She had to have this whole reason for it. She had to have all these thoughts about it. Why can't you just be a human being and just like cats unthinkingly? So, no, I don't trust anything like that. Like that thing he said about her getting angry about the surprise party. Oh, that's all. But yeah, that's extremely important, and Stefan Molyneux is the same way. I think he claims to have read everything Ayn Rand wrote. No, stuffing your mind with facts are just, well, I technically read it, my eyes went over the page. No, you have to work to understand what you read. Just reading it is not enough. You can't just let something passively wash over you and expect to understand it. So the amount someone has technically read has practically no correlation with how much they understand. In fact, Ayn Rand was an example of this. Peacock talks about she was a slow reader, and she didn't read, that much compared to other people who read faster, but she would absorb it all, think about it all, really take the time to get it. And so, for every one book on a topic, she would read one book on a topic for, every 10 somebody else would read, but understand it so much better, because it's not about, how much quantity you're cramming into your head. Kill the robots. It's a good, finally. Isn't this the end of the level? I don't know. I mean, I think it... Does it reset you at the beginning of the next level? Am I just picking all these armor pieces up for no reason? Don't like cats, huh? Why don't you like cats? Can I talk about the induction process? I've never seen what... I don't know if you can mess up this scene or... I'm gonna just screw around this time and see if I can I spill the coffee?
Sie können den Kaffee auf dem Tisch abstellen. Es ist harmlos. Stellen Sie den Kaffee auf den Tisch ab.
Ich kann Sie nicht durchlassen, bis Sie nicht gemacht haben, worum Sie Obersturmbannführerin Engel gebeten
Can't
haben.
throw this in his face and just get in a firefight here?
Gehen Sie zur Obersturmbannführerin und bringen Sie ihr Ihren Kaffee.
Fine. This is a good scene. What's about to happen here?
Augenblick mal.
Dogs make better pets, huh?
Ja. Sehr schöne arische Züge. Findest du nicht auch, Bobi?
Ja,
I
mit
like
den
dogs and I
Augen.
like cats.
Bitte, setzen Sie sich. Entschuldigen Sie mein Benehmen. Ich bin Obersturmbannführer Engel. Und das ist
Yeah, how did that? Well,
mein
probably can
Begleiter.
compress itself, probably.
Was soll das, mein Schatz?
Can transform into
Ich möchte
something
Sie einem
smaller, more
Test
compressed. They come out of relatively small containers, I noticed. Those giant robots. Maybe they just put it together in here. But yeah, induction process, I mean, I have an episode on that. I will do more on that in the future, but
Das ist nur ein Test.
I don't think a stream is really the right place to go into induction.
Wenn Sie nach
It's
der
a
Waffe greifen
big
sollten,
and complicated subject.
Ihre Entscheidung bereuen werden.
It's like I was tutoring somebody once and he asked me to talk about concepts. I was like, well, I mean, that's a gigantic subject. What do you want to know? And he just said, you know, everything. Tell me everything about them. Well, I mean, that would take... I can't do that in... oh yeah, I didn't try this last time. I hope you do more on induction. I don't understand it. I'm not making fun of you. That's just a humorously straightforward way of putting it. I mean, I did that one episode on it, and I can't remember what I chose first time. I think I chose this because that's blue eyes, so it's like Aryan. But then I thought, oh, are they trying to imply that, are they trying to see if I'm gay, actually? And one of these is close-up of a, and this maybe is a close-up of a man, where it's just a female, so...
Ach so. Und jetzt wählen Sie das Foto, das in Ihnen Glücksgefühle auslöst.
I have some black gloves. They're pretty cool.
Interessant. Meinen Sie, dass dieser Mann unreines Blut hat, Bernhard?
Ich weiß nicht, Frau Obersturmbannführer.
Ja, das werden wir bald wissen, nicht wahr? Diesmal wählen Sie das Bild.
I think I chose this because I thought they were trying to see if I was some pacifist, and if I was like, oh, I don't like scenes of death. So I choose this one this time.
Ich hätte sagen sollen, dass das Ihre letzte Wahl ist. Also wählen Sie weise. Ich sage Ihnen etwas. Wenn Sie ein Nicht-Arier gewesen wären, hätten Sie zur Waffe gegriffen.
Sie müssen diese Dame schon entschuldigen, aber sie ist ja stolz darauf, diese Bilderrätsel mit wildfremden Männern zu spielen.
Diese Bilder. Urlaubsfotos, alte Kriegsaufnahmen. Gar nichts. Davon abgesehen kann ich ein Nicht-Arier mit bloßem Auge erkennen. Du etwa nicht. Lassen Sie ihn gehen, Bernhard.
It's so good.
Eine bildhübsche Frau wird in seinem Abteil warten auf ihn.
They make you, give you these choices, and you actually think through it. I did it the first time. Oh, what do they want from me? And then at the end, oh, it's nothing. They're just toying with you. They're just using arbitrary power over you. This is such a great, it's such a great little thing that really makes you feel the evil of arbitrary totalitarian power, where you have to think about, oh my god, what is in the consciousness of these you know, the people who hold the power of force over me, people who can destroy my whole life at a whim. Now I have to focus on their whims rather than reality. That's such a good little scene, and well acted and everything, and where you know, your player character's life is at stake, and you're really trying to decide between these things, and then it's just, oh, this was just a game, it didn't mean anything, these are just random photos with no significance. That's It's one of my favorite parts of this game. It's really good. Yeah, so what I've done on induction is just answer questions from people who, well, one person in particular who is clearly acquainted with it. So don't take anything I've done so far to be where you learn about induction. First of all, you should just look into it generally, understand what the topic is. You can read David Harriman's book on PCOS theory. And then, of course, I will have a section on the validity of induction in my forthcoming book on the most difficult aspects of objectivism. Of course, I won't go into induction in that because Ayn Rand didn't have a theory of induction. And so that's not appropriate for the book, but she did think it was valid, and so I will go into that, its basic validity. But then in my next book on life and consciousness, I have some things to say about induction. So you will get more of that content from me. But
in here. Get inside. William? William?
Yes.
Is that for me?
Yes.
You know there's just one bed.
Yes.
Are you comfortable sharing?
with a girl? Gross. Cooties.
Sometimes Christmas. Sometimes birthdays. Sometimes mayhem, suffering, and death. Sometimes you just need to feel something good.
Dort haben wir exakt 2 Stunden Aufenthalt, bevor wir in Richtung Zagreb weiterreisen, unserem endgültigen Reiseziel.
I know where to go. A way to get inside Eisenwald prison. There's a hotel. It's on the same street as secret police headquarters. Everybody knows about it. Secret police headquarters is notorious here in Berlin. They bring prisoners inside for questioning. They torture them, and then they drive them back to Eisenwald prison, if they're still alive. Something's happening. There's a prison transport arriving. Come quickly! They're making a pickup. You find a way to get down on the roof of that prison transport bus.
I love that closeness.
You hide on that roof and you can ride it all the way into Eisenwald prison. I go down and distract the guard. And maybe he won't see you.
That's such a great thing about being in a relationship. You could be... just have this kind of... closeness with somebody.
This is true of the Nazis. They're not lacking in vanity.
That you can't normally have. It's this weird kind of ownership or permission. You know, you can just take for granted, oh, I can get up close to this person in a way that would normally be inappropriate. It's nice, and they do that. It's really good. And she touches his shoulder, and they're just closer, physically closer. They don't overdo it with its like. It's not like this, you know. They don't do anything grosser. Just a subtle change after their intimacy on the train. Have ever been to Alabama? I heard you say you were from the South. Yes, I live in Georgia. No, I have not been to Alabama. Oh yeah, I forgot you start with this little thing
Needs a recharge.
instead of that big one. Oh well. Why do you ask about Alabama? It's kind of a cool thing. It's not... I don't know. This whole mechanic of cutting open wire fences, it's a strange thing. I feel oddly neutral about it. It's not... It's satisfying enough to not be annoying, but it's also not really a positive. I don't know. It's like it cancels out. Born there, huh? Do you have a southern accent? It says he was born in Alabama. What are the perks I'm trying to get? Oh yeah, I have all of these now. Opinion of the American South. Well, you hear people say over yonder here, not ironically. That's cute. It's pleasant. It's probably the most remarkable thing about the South. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's bad. People are religious and stupid. And while I am to understand that the southern accent is vanishing, some people have a southern accent, although most people don't, but sometimes you will get a southern accent that is as bad as the way black people talk, by which I mean you actually can't understand what they're saying because it is such mangled English. And that's really what's the worst about the South, is that I still wonder if these guys count as mechanical. Yeah, in the South you have both a high number of black people and a high number of southern people, and so you get the whole gamut. Well, not the whole gamut. You get two distinct versions of pseudo-English. My ex-Canadian, not ex-Canadian, my ex-girlfriend who was Canadian, We would go to restaurants. I remember once we went to a restaurant and our waiter was black and she literally could not understand him. Growing up here, I have some ability to understand their mangled noises, but she actually couldn't understand. She couldn't understand our waiter. Had no idea what he was saying. So that's bad. I mean, the South is full of idiots and religion is more common here. But on the other hand, I mean, where else am I going to go? I'm going to go to, what, California? That has its own problems. I see a lot of stuff out of California, and I actually hate the way they talk in California. I mean, it's recognizable English, but it's, you know, it's Orwellian, the way they talk. I don't think I got that the first time. Those papers, whatever they are. Don't have an accent, huh? Oh yeah, the Orwellian thing. Yeah, it's like this double plus ungood kind of thing. They say super in front of everything. That's like their only intensifier. Oh, I super liked that. What? You super like that? You didn't love that? Like it's this truly Orwellian. Let's get out all synonyms, everything with slightly different connotations. Let's just simplify it into this mush. I think Gavin McInnes called it silt once. Yeah, the way Californians talk is just abominable. Although at least you can understand them. So yeah, I mean, I hate the South, but I hate everywhere. So. Well, there's some ways it's better. Oh, that was awful. What, are you saying did you grow, for this person saying Portuguese, did you grow up speaking English, or what? Oh, GIFs? Somebody asks if, well, he says he thought somebody was going to ask if I say GIF or GIF. GIF, of course. GIF. Does my concept of yeah, the internet thing, does my concept of a sandwich include hot dogs? I don't consider hot dog sandwiches, but I don't consider hamburger sandwiches. I always thought it was weird when people said hamburger sandwich, so maybe I'm not the person to ask for this.
Genau eine Minute, Hans. Da müssen wir aber los. Nach rechts. Geh du da. Komm schon. Vorwärts. Sau, du Dreckige. Du komm vorwärts. Ich zeig dir was. Faul, die Drecksau. Komm. Komm. Kannst du auch faul
Well, I mean, your typed written English is pretty damn good. I could not tell that there was anything going on with you linguistically, so it's impressive.
Steel. Stone. Concrete for miles. I wonder if there's anything in this world worth saving.
Me too.
Tyranny. Enemy of endless might. I'm wondering if I have any friends left standing. Comes down to it. I'll fight alone. But I promise you this. Friends, if this is where they're keeping you, I will find you and set you free. Safe remove across the rooftop undetected. Stay off the ground.
Well, here's another one that I've heard on podcasts I've been listening to. They've been debating whether cake is bread. What do you think about that? He said Hugh Atkins instead of Hugh Axton. If Hugh Atkins served that hamburger sandwich, it wouldn't have been a sandwich because there would have been no bun. Because Atkins diet. These damn ladders. Ugh. Giving me Half-Life flashbacks.
Gefangene, vergessen Sie nicht, dass Sie bei jeglichem Widerstand gegen Umerziehungsmaßnahmen der umfassenden Gewalt des Strafvollzugs ausgesetzt werden.
Yeah, I just talked about that. But what about what about a pretzel? Is that bread? Maybe you guys should stop just carrying batons when it's pretty convenient. You guys just carry batons when precisely at the moments, the areas I don't have weapons or guns anyway. Yeah, the yeast thing I heard. That's important to the difference between. I feel like some kind of serial killer. I just keep slashing like that. But yeah, what about donuts? What about pretzels? Do those count? It's like Splinter Cell Conviction. I really like that whole thing in Splinter Cell Conviction. All the brutal torture scenes. That was good. I wish they hadn't gotten rid of that. Animation messed up on that one. Yeah, this is where yeah, I replayed Wolfenstein. Man, it's such a different experience. You remember those, like, that handful of times that you do a 2-second lockpicking minigame instead of a 2-second wire connecting minigame? Oh, just recontextualized everything. So different. That's what I like to see. Get people arguing philosophically over something as mundane as bread. Crawl up one of these. Whether helicopters or airplanes? What? Napping over there? This guy looks like Richard Spencer.
Somebody help me get this darn thing off! Anybody! Help me, please! Please help!
This guy's so incompetent. This is why I didn't save this guy in the first playthrough.
Gosh almighty, I thought I was a goner. And here you are, back from the dead, to save us all. Imagine that. Oh, what have you been up to, Captain Blazkowicz?
Shooting, stabbing, strangling Nazis. Set things straight, Wyatt.
Fantastic. Oh, let's get out of here, shall we? Hey, you close that door.
That's the same character model I killed. He also looks like Richard Spencer.
All right, let's get to work.
I'm not a fan of the Hitler Youth haircut that's been in vogue the past few years, by the way. You know, the shaved sides with the top. I do not like that haircut. Materials are storm cloaks. Is that, that's Skyrim, right? You know, I haven't actually, finished Skyrim, so I don't know. I do plan to play through it one day, but I just have so many things to play. So many giant RPGs to play. Last time I played through, I could hack this thing, but now I can't, so... I don't know what Peaky Blinders is. I just know people call it the Hitler Youth haircut. And yes, Scuro? That's what I'm talking about. Shaved on the side, hair in the middle. Not a fan. What do I do? Oh yeah. I always have to think about the perks. So yeah, machine guns. Basically machine guns and grenades. Okay. Do I have grenades? I think last time I just started blasting these guys, so let's see if I can. Didn't hear that, huh? Yeah, somebody said in the chat that the Nazis lost because they're deaf. Yes. Well, maybe it's only these guys, their most elite guards who take the front that can actually hear at a distance of a few feet nearby. I helped. I shot him. I shot him too. You stole my kill.
Time to go, Captain. Let's get out of here together.
Okay. Triangle before shape? Well, I mean, you form concepts in hierarchy. For instance, you couldn't get animal before you got, you know, dog and whatever. So, yeah, there are some options, but some things clearly come after others, which depends on, you know, where we start perceptually. For shape, yeah, you would have to have something. You would have to have something on the level of triangle, like square and circle, but you wouldn't need triangle specifically, so it's optional. You need something. It could be triangle and square, or square and circle, or whatever. So you wouldn't necessarily need triangle before shape, but you would need something on the level of triangle before you got the concept shape. I mean, multiple things on the level of triangle, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to integrate anything into shape.
My fingers won't work right. They've been chained up for too long.
Your fingers have been chained up? I don't know, that sounds like pretty dubious video game excuse to me, but okay. My incompetent AI companion.
Left still fighting since the war ended, you know. It's been rough. We get out of here alive, things are going to change, Captain Blazkowicz. They got it. Hear that? Reinforcements. They'll bring the hammer down on this whole city block. This way, Captain.
Okay.
Wait! Oh, Jesus. There's a Panzer. One like heck. I think we can make it.
I love this guy. Heck, gosh.
Come this way, Captain!
Oops.
That's right. I think we can pull this off if we work together.
Okay.
Cover me while I open the gate.
Gefangene aus Grenzland B2.
Does anybody know where fedoras came from? Is that just from old noir stuff? Is that why they're popular? People had their concept of I always wondered where, if there was some specific thing that fedoras came from. No one under here this time? Yeah. Slide under there. Okay, I killed him in one hit. Oh boy. Good. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Swivel your head around and press E. A lot of headshots. Oops. I have no opinion on the bread question, by the way. I don't know enough about food, bread in particular. Oh yeah, because I died, I have all my, I mean, if you're going to go, even though it's, you know, it looks so much more violent, and it is, and it's so much more gruesome, I mean, exploding would be pretty good, because it'd be over quickly. Barely have time to feel it. Okay, there we go. Any significant developments in objectivism that have evolved after Rand that you approve, disapprove of? Approve or disapprove of? Let's see what I'm doing. Wait a minute. These perks, so annoying. So machine guns and kill metal things with grenades. Alright. That was dumb. It's gonna make me start all the way back there, isn't it? Well, in terms of developments in objectivism, well, I don't believe in any such thing, to developments on objectivism. Yes. But in objectivism, objectivism is the philosophy of Ayn Rand. It is static. It will never change because she is dead. So... Now, you might mean... I suppose you could mean something like OPAR, right? OPAR is Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand by Leonard Peikoff. You know, he says even that he doesn't consider official objectivism, although he is, of course, attempting to lay out objectivism. But yeah, you know, it's tricky, and I think my book on the most difficult aspects of objectivism that I'm currently writing is really in the same category. You know, there are some, short of just using examples to explain things, you know, there is some level of elaboration involved and discussing things that I regard as immediate implications, or explaining why something she simply asserted but didn't go too deep into is true. And, you know, I can't consider that official objectivism, even though I think it's true, which is what really matters. But yeah, so in terms of that, yeah, I mean, I approve of OPAR mostly. It's not really that I disagree with any concretes in OPAR, but I do think, I mean, I think in some cases you could give better examples, more clarifying examples than Peikoff gives. And maybe some emphasis, I think, is a little off, but I think OPAR is brilliant. Yeah, in terms of, but in terms of actual development on top of objectivism, ideas, are you just going around in a circle? Yes, what are you doing? Or what am I doing? Yeah, I mean, I have to reread The Logical Leap in light of some of my own recent thoughts. But I have looked into specifics in The Logical Leap, and I think there are some important important issues that are never directly addressed in The Logical Leap, that are hinted at, but in a vague and unclear way, that I think are important. Harry Binswanger, of course, I think is great, and I wonder if I get an achievement for something for killing those two things down there. But I don't want to do this section again. That's what I get for using a shotgun at long range. Yeah, How We Know is great. I mean, I say that more emphatically than OPAR, just because OPAR is older, so my enthusiasm has had time to be worn out, whereas How We Know is newer. But yeah, that's brilliant. A lot of what's brilliant about it isn't philosophical, it's more scientific, and there are some things I disagree with Harry Binswanger on. And there are some things I disagree with all objectivists on, as far as I can tell. I can't remember Ayn Rand. I can't remember if she ever talked about this specifically, but the self-refuting nature of determinism, the idea that determinism is self-contradictory, I think is wrong. Obviously, I believe determinism is false, and so we all agree on that. And you know, from from that side, and then from the other side, even people who agree that, or who believe that determinism is self-refuting, agree that that is a derivative argument. It is not the actual basis for refuting determinism. Observation, introspective observation is, but I think that's just a fallacious argument that determinism is self-refuting. I can't remember what Ayn Rand says about that. It's possible that she disagrees with me on this. Even though I think determinism is wrong, and God, I'm gonna die, and then I'm gonna have to redo this. Should I even try to kill these things? See, the whole idea with the idea that determinism is self-refuting is that automatic knowledge is contradictory, but it's not. Perception is automatic. Now, actually, Ed Locke, in his recent book on determinism, actually acknowledges that. He says, yeah, that's true. There are automatic forms of knowledge, but that's not how reason works. Yeah, I agree, but the whole point of saying it's self-refuting is that you can know determinism is false in advance because it doesn't let you, it foists it on you. It's automatic. That's the whole idea involved in determinism is self-refuting. It's automatic, so it must be wrong. No, automaticity is fine in knowledge. You can say, but reason doesn't function automatically. Yeah, that's true, but you can't know that a priori. That does happen to be true, but you can't say in advance that the fact that it's automatic rules it out. You have to know why reason isn't automatic. Otherwise, you're just begging the question. And you're saying, well, we know that we know that determinism is false because reason is not automatic. And how do we know that reason is not automatic? I don't know, we're just saying it is. But that's not a principle of knowledge. Suppose reason were automatic. There's no reason why, if abstraction and reason were some automatic process that you couldn't say, that you couldn't trust it. It's like, why would that, I mean, you don't get to choose what your senses give you. Does that mean, oh, I can't trust it because I can't check it against anything? No, that's ridiculous. If there's a logical, if there's a method of reason, and your mind automatically followed that, there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to know that you were correct. Now, I think that's impossible, but the point is you can't know that in advance. So while I agree that determinism is false, and that reason does in fact require free will, I don't think you can say that in advance of understanding why. You can't just say, well, it's self-refuting, because that implies, God damn it, automaticity is what's invalidating about it, and that's not true as a principle you know beforehand. You have to discover that by observing. You can't say in advance whether yeah, Harry Binswanger's view that there is no, that human beings don't develop, they don't have this stage that Ayn Rand supposed we do, where we have just, you know, this chaos of pure sensation, but eventually we learn to, or our body automatically, at a certain point, integrates into perception, and so we can't go back to it as adults because it just happens automatically. That was Ayn Rand's view, but Binswanger says no, there actually is never any point in human development that we have non-integrated sensations. I mean, that's a scientific question, as Binswanger points out, and I think Ayn Rand herself notes. So, I don't have a view on that, except that Harry Binswanger's case seems compelling to me. I mean, he notes that horses, what are they called? Foals? Baby horses, whatever they are born kind of just knowing how to run immediately. So clearly there are certain animals that are born just perceiving from birth rather than needing to go through this sensory period. So that makes sense to me, but I'm not a scientist, and that's a scientific question. But yeah, I mean I mean, if that's true, that seems pretty open and closed. Whether that applies to human beings, again, I don't know. I'd have to have more knowledge about how infants work. I don't think it's philosophically significant. Yeah, that's true. Person says the amount of what's that, giblets, GIF generated when you blow up a Nazi doesn't seem to account for the total mass of his body. Yeah, that's that old video game destructibility trick where you blow something apart, but then all the pieces that come out of that don't seem to be enough to have constituted the original entity. Oh, yeah. I'm in an intro to science class and my textbook says science doesn't prove anything. Can you go into the objectivist definition of proof and evidence? Actually, that was, I mean, that's just my, I just did my last 2 podcasts address that. That's really just the issue of certainty. When can you say you've proven something? Which just means, when can you say you're certain of an abstract conclusion? So go listen to those if you're interested in that. But yes, that's obviously a false, you know, Popperian kind of view on science. You never prove anything. Science is just negative. Science just disproves certain hypotheses. And you can never get positive confirmation. You just become more and more likely correct as your hypothesis withstands more and more tests. That is the wrong way of looking at it. It's the wrong theory. wait. Oh, I'm supposed to be saving this guy's. Oh, yeah.
Dead end, Cap. What now?
I can't believe you made it out of there. Do any of you know how to hotwire a car?
There's cameras all over the city. They're tracking us no matter where we go. Nighttime will be easier, with more options. A daytime entrance into the Kreisau Resistance headquarters is not advisable in the least. Never been attempted as far as I know. But the skies seem clear. No one's following us. I think we can make a little history today. This is a two-part maneuver. Done right, we should head perfectly into a blind spot. Everybody ready? Go! Now! Run!
Pretty slick.
The good thing about the Nazis is they really are stupid. So long as we're hidden by this mist, no one will see us. Now,
pretty good.
The second part, the jump. Once we're underwater, hold your breath, swim after me. Stay submerged no matter what happens. There are Nazis all around. If you break the surface, they will kill us. Don't hesitate.
These look like kill zone soldiers. Okay. What would I rank as the top 5 courses, lectures, series at the campus e-store? Well, they definitely be by, well, we're going to exclude Ayn Rand here. She didn't really have courses or lectures. The only one she had, well, I guess she really didn't have any. She had the epistemology workshops, which aren't available in full as far as I know, and the writing fiction and nonfiction, which you can get in book form. Yeah, they definitely be by Peikoff and Binswanger. Objectivism through induction, definitely. Understanding objectivism, and yeah, probably objectivism through induction, understanding objectivism, both by Peikoff, and then consciousness as identification by Binswanger is revelatory, if you haven't heard those ideas before. The metaphysics of consciousness. And Peikoff has... Oh, and of course the history of philosophy lectures by Peikoff. Probably those 5. Although I might replace the metaphysics of consciousness with something else, but I can't remember all of Binswanger's lectures at the moment. But those 5 are crucial.
William. Hold me, I'm freezing.
Max! Oh, feelings mutual, Max!
Put them down, Max. Gently.
Whoa! Stand down! This is Klaus. He's one of us. He was a Nazi before, but he's on our side now.
Where is he, Johnny?
How is this possible? We're in the very center of Berlin. You're hiding in a plain sight.
It's the last place they would look out.
Will they not hear us?
Best to keep your voice down, ja?
Fuck me. B.J. Blazkowicz. I should have known only you would be dumb enough to do a daytime entry.
Ma'am.
Glad to have you back, Bart.
Caroline, you're alive.
If you call shitting in a bag living, 3 pulverized vertebrae. You?
Head trauma, 4 inches of cast iron shrapnel right in the conch. Still in there.
Severed colon, septic shock, shattered pelvis.
Memory loss, flashbacks, 14 years in a loony bin.
Good to see you, William. So, what can you do?
For your collection, Jay. Wow, so happy to see you, man. What's it been, 3 months since they hauled you away? I thought you were dead, actually. They send people off to that prison, they don't come back, you know? It's a trip, and you brought some new cats with you, actual reinforcements. It's cool, man.
I am hearing interesting things out of London. I have a folder marked Project Whisper, but someone has borrowed it. Klaus, I believe it was. Can you find it and bring it to me, would you please, Captain? Now that you are here, I think we can do great things. Why don't you sit with me, Miss Anya? Listen in on these frequencies. Anything out of London, make a note of the time and write down as much as you can. Here is pen and paper.
Can I do typewriter?
You know how to type.
Yes. My parents thought I should learn.
For you to take dictation, prescriptions and such.
Not really. It was useful during my time at the University of London.
Leave me alone, all right? I don't know you. I can't make friends.
Please, assist me in figuring out what these damn Nazis are up to.
Max, ich suche schon die ganze Zeit nach dem Hammer. Hast du ihn gesehen?
Make Oz.
Don't worry, this is a brief, talky part. Get past this and back to the shooting, and then answering your comments.
You know about before, going off on you like that. It's a force of habit.
No worries, Johnny Cowboy. It's not the first time it happens.
Yeah, perhaps you should consider removing them tattoos.
I will, in time. I was, as you Americans say, all wet when I got them. And I'm sorry to say it was a very proud moment of my life. I want removing them to be an even prouder moment. No more Nazis, no more tattoos.
So long as you don't get in the way of me killing Nazis, we'll see eye to eye. Caroline's looking for a document folder, Project Whisper.
Max doesn't speak English very well, but he does know Project Whisper. It's a risky business operation. He knows it will cost us to pull it out. Max doesn't like violence. He doesn't want to see anyone get hurt. Alles in Ordnung, mein Sohn. Wir werden für dich kämpfen.
Caroline said you borrowed the folder. Do you have it here?
I did take it 2 days ago, but I put it back. Go to the ground floor. The folder should be in the drawer in a desk in her room, where I left it.
You see, the first time
The folder should be inside a desk.
I went through this, I missed that scene because this game I hate when games make you guess which way is actually the path forward. Then you think, okay, if I don't do this, am I leaving something on the table? Or if I do this, am I skipping ahead and I'm going to miss something? So I missed that whole scene the first time through. And that scene is actually important enough that they take some of the audio from it when recapping at the beginning of Wolfenstein 2. So I really, really hate that. Make it clear what progresses the story and what doesn't, and don't allow people to skip ahead. I hate that. Don't make me have to take this gamble on which thing is the exploratory path and which one is going to take me to a point of no return. God, I hate that.
Hey, it's not in there. Already looked. Anyway, I forgot to tell you. Try and not speak about Project Whisper when Max is around. He heard us discussing the plans for it, and it really upsets him.
A toy. What's it doing in Caroline's room?
I've been wondering, would it be possible for you to give me some firearms training?
You think you can handle killing a man, Anya?
I think so.
Takes a very special mindset to kill a man, Anya. Even if he is a Nazi. I'm not sure you have it in you, but maybe you can convince me. God knows we can always use more shooters.
Someone spilled nails on the floor and just left them. Like a kid would do.
Yeah, there's this whole investigative thing that, one, you just skip over if you go and you search around because you're worried the game's going to progress without your having searched. But also, this is just dumb. Like, don't you hate when games give you this? Like they designed systems that, like, you would have to restrict yourself in order to do this. It's much easier to just run around and look at everything in this small space rather than try to do this investigation and try to piece together, so, okay, so a childlike person dropped these nails. What would a childlike person want with nails? Then have to infer from that? You're never going to figure it out from doing this the way they intend you to do it. You're just going to run around until the blue marker pops up on the screen, and there you go. That's how to progress. This is...
Must be Max's room. What is Max hiding in there? Is that the Project Whisper folder? Either need a crowbar or find a way around.
Just making trouble. Oh, really? So you get him instead of that woman who's in here in the other playthrough, which is great, because I hate the character who occupies this space. If you make the other choice, my least favorite character, I hate that character. Cringe-inducing. I hate that character. Wow, this is better. Okay. I mean, that is such a dumb video game thing. Is this Is this really a common enough thing where people need signs telling them where the tools are? Like I don't know about that. There we go. Wouldn't say like a shed or equipment, even just in such a small space, it seems weird you would have directions to tools. Oh wait, back up here.
Max, I really need you to step aside. Max, bitte. Geht zur Seite. Das ist wichtig.
Max, komm her! Komm an! Alles in Ordnung. Alles wird gut sein. Sorry. I should have known you would have taken it.
Much obliged, Captain Blazkowicz. You ready for an assignment? Friends and comrades, this is it. Project Whisper. It's been in development for years. A helicopter aircraft. The Nazis have found a way to make it virtually silent in flight and undetectable by means of radar. Anya has decrypted the Nazi chatter out of London and located the only 3 prototypes in existence at the London Nautica research facilities there. With Captain Blazkowicz on the team, we are finally strong enough to strike at the operations. The days of scurrying like rats are over. With these machines in our possession, we can go anywhere, hit anything. We will rebuild the Kreisau Circle, arm ourselves to the hilt. We will rise up and take down Death's Head for good. They think the war's over, that we are weak, beaten, don't have the guts to oppose them. And as always, they are wrong.
I've got a 14-hour drive. I've got a sinus infection. I haven't had a full night's sleep in 8 months. So let's go, people. Because I'm not doing this again. Thank you for your help, man. Stop. I just want to get this over with.
Randy! Beruhig dich! Hanson! Die Papiere bitte. Danke. Sie können passieren. Ein Hitler!
One of our few indications that Hitler is alive in this universe.
This big fucking disgrace of a building is a London Nautica. This used to be downtown London. Used to be fighting in the streets over here. I mean, furious, unrelenting resistance. And then the Nazis brought in the London Monitor and everything went to shit from there. They just do whatsoever they please now. They just fucking leveled everything and erected this fucking monstrosity. It's a top Nazi research facility, this is. Aviation, space, all kinds of evil shit transpiring. Caroline and the other pilots should be over the radio tower by now, you see it. Anya's operating the radio back in Berlin. You can reach him using this. This is where you get off. So long, Blazkowicz. You make this count, all right?
Didn't realize he was going to do that the first time I played through.
We are moving into position at the top of the radio tower, approximately 7 blocks from your location. You'll have to find a way to the top floor of the Nautica and open the hangar doors. That way me and the other pilots can get inside.
Looking for something here. Yeah, look at this. The textures are not great in this game. All these things on the ground are clearly just textures on the ground. And look, what is it? Giant pen textures? Is that what these are? I noticed that in another person's, or somebody pointed it out in the video I was watching. So yeah, I'm saying these giant pen textures on the ground here. That's weird. Okay. Don't go that way. Okay. So, yeah, there it is. That's the big texture. That's what I was looking for. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. All right. Now back to these questions. So, a couple people said they don't think Ayn Rand ever used that self-refutation argument about determinism, although Peacock and Binswanger do, and yeah, they do, as does Ed Locke and I think others. This person says, but determinists allow that humans are fallible. But determinists allow that humans are fallible. If that's true, that means that automatic knowledge is not automatically true. Then another person says, doesn't the idea of trusting your conclusion seem self-refuting under determinism? And the person from before continues, which means if you believe that antecedent events require you to believe the contents of your mind to be true, you don't believe it because it's true, but because you have to. Well, those things are not in conflict. You could say the same thing about using logic, even if it's volitional. I mean, you don't choose your context, right? You have a context of evidence. All you choose to do is to engage your machinery and use logic on the evidence you have available. So whether that's automatic or not, you're just as fallible and you will be just as certain. Free will is about engaging the machinery. So whether that's automatic or not doesn't make any difference. There's no reason that you say, well, you believe it because you have to. So what? You would still be aware that you used logic in the process. So now again, in fact, I believe that that the use of reason requires the free will choice to engage that whole process, but you can't say that if that process were automatic, then you just couldn't trust it. Why? Choosing to engage it, I mean, let's say you have a certain amount of evidence. Well, whether the process of dealing with that evidence were automatic or you chose to, you're just as fallible or just as certain either way. The fact that you had to choose to engage it doesn't mean anything about whether you... doesn't imply anything about whether you can trust the process. I mean, the bottom line is, trusting the process does not depend on whether you had to engage it. Although, in fact, I think you do have to engage it. All right. Conceptualizing potentiality / actuality, or concerning those two, could one say that existence qua existence is fully actualized? I don't know what that means. I'm not actually sure what you're getting at here. What do you mean by sensory period? Perception is the focusing on... trying to get that kill people in 10 seconds thing. Perception is the focusing on specific sensations and tying them to a particular object. Well, I mean, focusing in the loose sense, it's not volitional focusing because you don't choose to perceive. That happens automatically. Animals are perceptive. In the horse example, it seems like the horses are reacting to perceptions. Yeah, Ayn Rand's view is just that there's a period before your neurophysiology puts sensations together and integrates them into an object before it before you have an automatic perspective on objects as integrations of sensations. There's a period before you have that perspective where you just have the perspective of just or I guess, I suppose, disintegrated sensations, and then at a certain point your body develops such that it puts them together, and you get the object orientation, you get the perceptual level view where you see a world of discriminated objects and not just free-floating sensations. That was her view. And Harry Binswanger says, no, actually, there is no stage where you just see sensations. You just perceive, where you're just aware of sensations. He says amoeba don't perceive, only sense. This person says he's talking about a period where your subconscious doesn't do that automatic integration. For example, amoeba don't perceive, only sense. Do amoeba sense? Do they have any kind of nervous system? I mean, I would say that about worms, I think. I think it's clear that they only have sensations. But amoeba? Do amoeba have any... do they have any kind of consciousness? Is that... over here. It's annoying. Focusing on these perks. Jeez. I'm never gonna kill these metal guys with grenades at this rate. Just my luck. First time I came through, I didn't come over here. And now that I've come over here, this requires the other guy's wiring ability. There's a health upgrade in here. Is the hypothetico-deductive model inherently flawed, or is it a valid tool used by bad epistemologists? Isn't it just guess and check plus statistics? Yes, that's exactly what it is, and it is inherently flawed. Obscuro, you are being rationalistic here. Let me, man, I hate these things. If knowledge is a mental grasp of the facts of reality, and the knowledge antecedent factors force me to believe the contents of my mind is true, then you are forced to believe the contents of your mind based on antecedent factors, which means you believe that the content within the quotes is true, not because it's true, but also because it's true. No. I mean, you can do the exact same thing with, wait a minute. Uncomfortable position. There's no conflict between believing something, quote, not because it's true and also because it's true. Those can just be different levels. It's not, I believe it because it's false and because it's true. I don't know if I should carry this thing. I mean, you can get rid of this just by saying, I am forced to believe the truth. Therefore, I believe it because it's true, because I'm forced to believe the truth. So you're trying to set these things at odds, and they don't have to be. I mean, they do actually have to be in reality, but you can't know that beforehand. Ear hurts.
Inside the room is a door to the maintenance section. Look for a door on the outer wall near to the top of the dome.
This is a cool thing. You have these, this kind of ammo that just blasts all around and ricochets. It's ricochet shotgun. But yeah, you could do that same thing about, well, I'm forced, I believe it because I'm forced to, and because it's true. Believing it because you're forced to, meaning not because it's true. You could do that with perception. Well, I mean, I'm forced to believe my perceptions because that's what reality gives me and I have no choice. But also, I believe them because they're true? How can that be? Well, it's because you are, quote, forced to see the truth. It's just an automatic process. So those things don't have to be in conflict, and you're just trying to rationalistically twist it so that there's a contradiction there when there doesn't have to be. I mean, suppose you performed logic automatically. Would you magically lose the ability to notice that it was logic? No. I mean, the thing is, once you engage your process of reason, you don't have a choice about what you believe anyway. I mean, if you are given a math problem, right? Now, before you do the math problem, you don't know the answer. But once you do it, you know the answer. Now, you can evade that, you can ignore it, you can act against it, but you can't actually make yourself believe it. You actually have to believe what your process of reason produces. Does that mean you can't trust it? Obviously not. Should've got my shotguns out. Shouldn't have reloaded. Oops. Yeah, so people are talking about how your people can you can get sensory information that you're not consciously aware of, but then people can kind of guess in a statistically improbable way what was actually in front of them or what they saw. Yeah, sometimes this is used to disprove reason. They say, see, our mind just operates without our conscious control. See, look what it's doing without our guidance. I mean, that's dumb. First, that doesn't change what is in our control. And second, there's nothing mystical or crazy about that. It just means that, yeah, your body and subconscious reacts in certain ways to external stimuli, and then you are not you're not privy to exactly what's happening as it's happening, but you are indirectly aware of it through your body sending you messages. That kind of thing, that kind of, you know, you're getting sensory information and then getting a feeling like, oh, maybe that was a chair in front of me or something. That's fundamentally no different than feeling hunger. It's just your body reacting to the world in a way, and then you being made aware through your body. That does not prove a priori knowledge or that you can run without reason or anything like that. Oh. Volet mentions, I guess I'll try to start saying your names from now on. Volet mentions the Matrix. Ow. God. Hold on a second. I love The Matrix. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. There's not a boring scene in that movie. It just pulls you along. I love The Matrix. I mean, philosophically false, of course, but it's good.
Shooting the brakes off an elevator. What could go wrong? You better stand on the counterweight.
found something.
What do you see?
Ancient artifacts. Highly technological in nature. Parchment. Looks like Hebrew. I think the Nazis are trying to reverse engineer all this stuff.
Are there any identifying marks?
Doth? You should. Dog, Abel, apostrophe. Abel, Tara, space, yoke, item, Charlie, Hal, Uncle Dog.
Might be something in our archives, Anya. See if you can find any references to Dot Yeshud.
Will do. Be careful out there.
I like her, Blazkowicz. Good catch. Be sure to bring as much of this Dot Yeshud stuff as you can carry.
Will do.
Just trying to catch up on all these comments. People talking about Rorschach. You know, Steve Ditko, who created the character he's based on. Alan Moore tells this story. And I think the documentary is called Searching for Ditko. And he says he heard that somebody once asked Steve Ditko, have you heard of this character, Rorschach? Or have you heard of this book, Watchmen? He said, no, I don't. He said, there's this character, Rorschach, based on your character, based on this character, Rorschach? And Steve Ditko said, oh, yes. He's like Mr. A, except he's insane. Yeah, I mean, the essential problem with Rorschach is that, I mean, the fundamental problem, or, I mean, it's not a it's a mistake in the sense that Alan Moore was wrong in his understanding of reality and what it feels like to have integrity. He sees integrity as a burden. That's really the idea. His conception of somebody with integrity is that it's this horrible burden, and morality just it's horrible burden. And so somebody with integrity, with extreme integrity, like Rorschach, which is his take on objectivism, this moral seriousness, is that he would be miserable. And well, I guess I don't want to spoil it, but you know, that comes out in Rorschach. That's his fundamental take on Rorschach. Is here's this character of extreme integrity, moral seriousness, but that makes you miserable. And that's wrong, but given that interpretation, Watchmen is great, and it has a logic to it. I remember hearing Alan Moore talk about how when they were writing it, they didn't know exactly how Rorschach was going to end up, and then at a certain point they realized, oh, this is how he has to end up. And that's exactly how good art is. You know, by the end of a good, logical piece of art, you don't just have infinite choices. You can't just end it in any way, whatever. The ending is almost writes itself sometimes when it appears like that's what's happening. You know you're doing it the right way. And so hearing Alan Moore say that was just more evidence of that. Of course that's how it would be, because that story has a logical structure. It's based on false premises, but given those false premises, the story actually has a plot. So I like Watchmen a lot. love how he just throws that gun away.
I see a small plumbing channel behind the north wall. Look for some form of access point near the floor.
Whew. Trying to catch up, trying to catch up.
About 2 floors up is an access point leading directly into the hangar.
Bullet asks, sensation is lower than consciousness? Like plants are sensory but not conscious? No. That's what was confusing me when he said the thing about amoeba. No. No, plants are not. No. They're not conscious. They don't have the ability to sense. At least not in the way I mean it. Yes, I take sensations to be just inherently a form of consciousness. To me, the idea of sensation without consciousness, that is incoherent. So, maybe I have seriously misunderstood something, or maybe you have.
That's your bottom dollar, it is.
Maybe there are different senses of sensation, but yeah, I've always taken sensation to mean, I mean, yeah, what does unconscious sensation even mean? That's a contradiction in terms, the way I use those terms. So Benito says determinists have to believe that we, presumably he means people who, okay, that we don't believe in determinism, not because it isn't true, but because it is true. So you're saying it's basically the idea here that if you're a determinist, then you have to believe that then everybody would automatically come to the truth? Is that what you're trying to say? And so a determinist would have to say that people who believe in free will believe it because it's true, but that contradicts them? Is that what you're trying to say? So as for Skiro, it says you cannot both believe determinism because it's true and on the basis that it's true concede that you believe it because you have to. You can believe it because you have to, but still note that it's true. I mean, the same thing is you can have a context of knowledge that leads you to a wrong conclusion. But if you use reason, you have to believe your conclusion, even though it's wrong. So the idea of fallibility, that doesn't fundamentally change the equation here. Yes, let's say determinism were true. You just use reason automatically. Yeah, people would still be fallible, and this is also my response to Benito. If determinism were true, that wouldn't mean people don't make mistakes. But people make mistakes now. The point is that your argument that, well, I mean, you couldn't trust anything because you're forced to believe it, that applies now with free will. All you're doing is making the argument that fallibility leads to skepticism. That's actually the argument you're making. You're not making a case against determinism. You're making a case against certainty as such. Okay. A determinist claims to believe determinism on the basis of it being true, and as a result of it being true. And they also claim that non-determinists reject determinism as a result of a failure of reason that they were determined to perform. Okay, so the idea is determinists and non-determinists both forced to believe, both determined to believe what they believe. Okay, but if that is the case, then any claim of truth can only have the status of I am compelled to believe this is true. Yes, everybody would be determined to believe what they believe, rather than I have verified this as truth independent of my predetermined belief. But that's not a problem. I mean, your whole idea here that there's some contradiction involved in this is where you're going wrong. Why does it have to be independent of being determined? So you're forced to believe it. So what? Why does that mean you can't know it's true? Just because the process was automatic? You say because people can be fallible? People can be fallible with free will. Does that mean we can't know anything? Yeah, the argument you're making is against is that fallibility proves skepticism. But that's not true. The fact that reason doesn't operate automatically, the fact that we are not automatically correct, or the fact that even if we use reason, we can make mistakes, that doesn't say anything about whether you could trust your conclusions if they were determined. Look, you use the process of reason, right? Now, let's say using that process was determined. You had to use reason. Well, whatever the result was, yeah, you'd have to believe it. But you have to do that anyway with free will. Once you use reason, you have to believe the results, even if you made a mistake. So, whether engaging the process of reason were automatic or not, that doesn't make any difference as to whether you can believe the results. I mean, what you're really saying here is that you can't know that you're engaging in a process of reason if you're just doing it automatically. But you can know that because you're still aware that you're doing the process of reason while you're doing it. Yeah, sorry I'm not playing, just trying to catch up and get something I can talk about. Yeah, this whole plant perception or sensation thing is a different sense of sense. Oops. So Benito says you can believe something is true because you are determined to believe it is true. And you can believe it's also true in reality, but you would have no way of telling the two apart. Well, the same thing is true now, given that we have free will. Again, once you use the process of reason and you come to a conclusion, if you don't think you made any mistake, then you have to believe it. You're determined to believe it at that point, after you've done, after you've used the rational process. Again, that's all you're really saying is that since you can make mistakes, you can't be certain of anything. Everything you're saying applies with free will, too. Plant rights. few conversations going on. Oh, it got to the end. Yeah, I can't do the free will determinism thing anymore. I mean, I'm not upset or anything. It's an interesting thing, but I'd have to I mean, I'd just be saying the same thing over again. So if I were going to say something that made it clear, I'd have to sit down and come up with some other way to put it. But the basic point is that your free will choice to engage in reason has nothing to do with the fact that you can trust the results of that process. What is the connection between those two things? Even if you were forced to use the process of reason, you would be noticing as you used it that it was rational. You could say that you could make mistakes, but you can make mistakes with free will too. That doesn't mean you can't be certain. And the same would be true if you were forced to perform the process of reasoning. I mean, the fact that you're forced to do it doesn't mean you're unaware that you're doing it while you're doing it. And to say that, well, you believe it because you're forced to, not because it's true. Again, again, I'm not angry or upset or anything. I'm not trying to be insulting, but I think you're being rationalistic here. Because, I mean, again, you can do the same thing with reason as we, who actually have free will, use it. You do a math problem, you come to a conclusion. Now, you have to believe that conclusion because you used reason to get there. Like, I mean, Harry Binswanger says this, actually. Even though he disagrees with me on this. Like, there is no such thing as faith in the sense people normally think about it. You can't choose to believe something apart from your rational conclusion. You can just ignore it, evade it, whatever. You have to evade before you come to the conclusion, right? Once you do that math problem, like, you know the answer, even if you pretend not to or ignore it, right? So now that you've done it, what? I mean, I could say the same thing. Oh, you claim to believe it because it's true, but also you're forced to because you did the reasoning. So you believe it because you're forced to and because it's true? That's a contradiction. No, it's not. Because you were aware while you were doing the process that the process derived from reality. And so the fact that now you have to believe the conclusion, that doesn't contradict the fact that you can know it's true. The same thing is true if reason were an automatic process. You're still aware that you're doing reasoning, even if it's automatic. The fact that you have to choose to engage reason doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you know that it's reason that you're doing. That's the best I can, that's the most I can explain for now. Hearing these deterministic arguments are meh. It's actually the most interesting thing to me. This is what I want to talk about. I actually like it because it's a little bit of a twisty subject, and I don't blame people for getting confused on this. Or even thinking I'm wrong. But this is helpful even to get my own thoughts laid out. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be playing a game here. Oh yeah, this part. Chemical enemies killed with grenades. Oh, I can't rip those off?
There's my helicopters. That's it, engineer. That's your bottom dollar ass.
Where are you? Oops. Mm-hmm. There's some guy around here I don't see. I think I can... This guy. You knucklehead. throwing knives work? Oh boy. This is the last level I'm gonna do.
There's a control room on the upper level. From there, you can open the hangar.
Oops. Ladder.
My hero.
All aboard!
How did you survive? I thought you were dead.
Don't remember much. Remember punching Hans Gross in the face. Remember ascending into the sky. For moments there, I thought I was going to heaven. Then falling, then pain. First pain of my life. Felt like my insides were running out through my back. Could barely move. Had to crawl. They found me after 3 days in a ditch. Long months in a Kreisauer hospital bed. They were shoving tubes in me. Infection. These things I don't want to remember.
I'm sorry about your legs.
Don't be. I've learned how to fly.
cool helicopters.
No way, no way, no way!
Have you finished complaining? For now, this is top priority. What is the dot? Ye should. How can we get in contact with them? Anya, what do we know?
Very little, but I have some ideas.
Good. Anya, you take the lead on this. Blaskovich, whatever she needs, you help her find it, yeah?
William, I could use your help. Could you come over here for a second?
Oh, man. All right, everyone. Oh. I think that's it for today. So I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.